Hello everyone, my greetings to each one of you. This is the fifth session on economic reforms, which were initiated in the year 1991. In the previous sessions, you have understood the need for economic reforms, its importance, the economic reforms itself comprising of liberalization, privatization and globalization. I am Poonam Vohra from Economics Learning Center. This session focuses on the impact of economic reforms on economic growth, on fiscal deficit and on agricultural sector. Let's begin to analyze. Impact on economic growth. India's annual GDP growth rose from 3.5% during 1950 to 80 and 5.5% during 1980 to 92 to an average of 8% since 2003, with the peak exceeding 9% during 2005 to 8. IMF estimates that India's GDP growth is 7.3% in 2015 and 7.5% in 2016. It is faster than China's rate of growth. The statistical information is economic surveys of various years. The major reason has been the outstanding performance of the private sector, as they took advantage of the new opportunities created by liberalization and globalization. Indian companies more than held their own against foreign newcomers, and the vast majority of big Indian companies have become multinationals, making acquisitions globally. The computer software and business services sector has been outstanding and has become India's largest and the most famous export sector. Not only that, even auto industry, highly protected for decades, has opened up and became world class. Indian pharmaceutical companies exported more than they sell at home, and dozens have become multinationals through foreign acquisitions and organic expansion. So growth rate has been mainly due to privatization and liberalization, which had its positive impact mainly on the private sector. Now assess yourself. A bar diagram is provided. This is taken from the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. This bar diagram shows growth rates in 2018, 2019 and 2020. Observe it thoroughly and compare the growth rates in July 2019 with the growth rates in July 2020. Please check your answer. One can easily observe through this bar diagram that in July 2019, growth rate was positive, 5.2%, which fell drastically in July 2020 and became minus 23.9%. Obviously, there has to be reasons behind it. In 2019, there were positive contributions from private consumption spending, government spending, investment and exports. Whereas in 2020, there was a drastic fall in personal spending, investment, exports and imports on the demand side. On the production side, manufacturing, construction, trade, finance, professional services all shrank, and the result was negative economic growth. Fiscal deficit. The main thrust of new economic policy is to bring down fiscal deficit. That is, deficit arises because expenditure is greater than the revenue. In 1990-91, fiscal deficit was 5.9% of GDP. It reduced to 4.5% in 2003-2004. No doubt, after implementation of economic policy, fiscal deficit has reduced, but government is still far away from its target. There exist fiscal imbalances where non-planned expenditure is greater than revenues. Revenues have reduced because total custom, excise, corporate and income tax collections fell and they were short by 20,000 crores of rupees. Also, half of the total revenue and inflow of government gets consumed in interest payments of old debts and expenditure incurred on populist measures. So, developmental expenditure, that is expenditure incurred on irrigation, electricity, roads, education, human capital formation and health, suffered a lot. Now have a look at this question. You need to pick up the correct option out of the 4 options given for the statement. The statement is, the fiscal deficit of central government stood at 7.61% of GDP in 1990-91. The major reason was option A, increase in defense expenditure, B, decrease in non-tax revenue, C, increase in interest expenditure, or D, increase in other revenue expenditure. Please check your answer. The correct answer is option C. The fiscal deficit of the central government stood at 7.61% of GDP in 1990-91, mainly due to increase in interest expenditure. That was the reason that economic reforms were initiated during this year. Now look at this question. 4 statements are given. You need to identify the correct statement. Statement 1. Providing subsidy is the only solution to increase agricultural productivity. 2. A shift of expenditure from subsidy to investment in agriculture will lift agriculture from stagnation. 3. A policy of liberalizing agricultural exports will create domestic scarcity of farm goods. Statement 4. Financial sector reforms will lead to reduction of credit to the agricultural sector. Please check your answer. The correct answer is statement B. That is, a switch of expenditure from subsidies to investment will lift agriculture from stagnation. I hope you are able to analyze the impact of economic reforms on economic growth, on fiscal deficit, and on agricultural sector. With this, the session comes to an end. The next session will focus on the impact of economic reforms on industrial sector, on foreign direct investment, and on disinvestment. Till then, keep reading, keep learning, keep updating yourself. See you in the next session.